Who fired him? The CEO demanded. The quiet single dad was the company's hidden owner. The cardboard box trembled in the quiet single father's hands as he walked through the glass lobby carrying nothing but family photos, a small green plant, and the last pieces of a life he had built with loyalty. Employees watched in uncomfortable silence while security escorted him toward the exit. Then, just as the elevator doors opened, the newly appointed CEO stepped out, froze at the heartbreaking sight, and asked one question that sent shockwaves through the entire company. Who fired him? Within hours, everyone would discover that the humble man they had ignored for years wasn't just another employee. He was the company's hidden owner. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is never weakness and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in doing the right thing, and subscribe to Kindness Echoes for more emotional stories that remind us humanity always matters. Ethan Carter had never looked like someone with power. Every morning he arrived before sunrise wearing simple clothes, carrying an old backpack, and quietly greeting the cleaning staff before anyone else entered the building. Most employees assumed he struggled financially because he drove an aging pickup truck and always brought homemade lunches. They never knew that every evening after work, he rushed home to take care of his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, who had lost her mother to illness 3 years earlier. She had become his entire world, and every decision he made was guided by one simple promise: to give her a future filled with love instead of pain. Long before anyone in the company knew his name, Ethan's late grandfather had secretly invested in the tiny startup that eventually became one of the country's fastest-growing technology firms. Before passing away, he transferred the majority ownership into a private family trust with one unusual condition. Ethan would never interfere with daily operations unless the company abandoned its values of honesty, compassion, and respect for ordinary workers. Because of that promise, Ethan chose to work anonymously inside the business, learning every department from the ground up while never revealing who he truly was. For years the company flourished under leaders who respected people more than profits. Employees felt valued, customers remained loyal, and success naturally followed. Everything changed when the board hired a glamorous new CEO named Victoria Hayes. She was brilliant, ambitious, and determined to impress investors with aggressive cost-cutting measures. Numbers mattered more than names. Experience became less valuable than appearance. Loyalty was replaced by competition. Managers quickly learned that questioning her decisions could cost them their careers. To prove they supported the new direction, one senior executive began removing long-time employees, replacing them with expensive consultants who promised impossible results. Ethan quietly noticed the growing fear spreading through the office, but he remained patient, hoping someone would remember the company's original principles. One rainy Monday morning, that same executive called Ethan into his office. Without warning or appreciation for 12 years of faithful service, he handed Ethan a termination letter, claiming the company needed fresh talent. There was no thank you, no farewell, and no recognition of the countless weekends Ethan had spent solving problems that kept the business alive during difficult years. Ethan simply nodded, packed his belongings, and started walking toward the exit. He didn't argue because true character never needs to shout. As he crossed the lobby, many co-workers lowered their eyes, ashamed they lacked the courage to defend a man who had helped everyone without expecting anything in return. That was the exact moment Victoria entered the building after returning early from an investor meeting. She immediately noticed the sadness on Ethan's face and the silence surrounding him. Something about the scene felt terribly wrong. When she learned he had been dismissed without her approval, anger replaced confusion. She demanded to know who had authorized the decision. The investigation moved quickly. Files revealed that Ethan had repeatedly saved failing projects, mentored struggling employees, and refused personal recognition every single time. Then the company lawyer arrived carrying documents that no one had opened in decades. The board members turned pale as they realized the truth. The quiet single father they had allowed to be humiliated wasn't just an employee. Through the Carter family trust, he legally owned controlling interest in the entire corporation. The room fell silent. Victoria expected Ethan to fire everyone responsible. Instead, he surprised them all. He explained that companies don't fail because of mistakes. They fail when leaders stop seeing people as human beings. He restored the jobs of every employee who had been unfairly dismissed, created support programs for working parents, increased educational opportunities for staff, and introduced leadership training focused on empathy rather than fear. Victoria publicly accepted responsibility for allowing ambition to blind her judgment. She admitted that impressive resumes mean little without compassion. Rather than resigning, she chose to earn back the trust of employees by working beside them, listening instead of commanding. Slowly, the workplace transformed into a family once again. Months later, Lily proudly visited the office after school. Instead of seeing frightened workers hiding behind closed doors, she saw smiling faces, laughter filling the hallways, and people who genuinely cared for one another. Ethan looked around and realized that the greatest success wasn't owning the company. It was protecting the people inside it. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness always comes back." We'd love to read every single one. Stories like this remind us that the quietest people often carry the greatest strength, and true leadership is measured not by power, but by compassion. If this story inspired you, please like, comment, share this video with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Echoes. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that celebrate kindness, second chances, and the extraordinary power of the human heart.